Good evening, everyone. I ensured that Sen Gobin wasn't in the room before I made this slide. At the risk of repetition, can we design and build buildings which will ensure the well-being of the people who live in it and of the planet who provides for it? And how can we measure these two different impacts of building? A qualitative impact on the well-being of the inhabitants and a quantitative impact on the Earth's life. How can we build buildings like that? As the user, we want our building to provide us with the necessities, the comforts, and the luxuries, none of which is actually related to what the Earth needs. And the Earth needs all of these other things. How can we bring both of these together? And Samir, I'll go back to you. So none of it is going to be doable unless it creates the well-being of the pocket of us as people in the trade. So I'll quickly, in just 5 minutes, run through the story of one building because all these stalwarts before me have shared so many amazing stories. So I'm just going to share one short story and then we'll just have 5 questions which Venki and I have discussed. So here was a developer in Pondicherry who wanted to design an entire gated community of net zero villas, and he wanted me to design a prototype of a building that would approach net zero as a way to validate his hypothesis. And this building incidentally got chosen among the top 50 houses of Asia by the Wholesome Foundation, which was the parent body of ACC Cement, in their drive towards finding a building which would reduce embodied carbon. So this building has reduced embodied carbon by 40%. How do I?
Is it a video?
No.
No. Okay, then we can continue.
It's not moving forward. So because he had strategically bought the land, which would be at the entrance of Auroville, the land was an acute triangle. And my job as an architect was to change it to acute triangle and make a beautiful design out of it. In approaching net zero in terms of water, waste, energy, and carbon in this project, we were able to show significant reductions in operational cost as well as in capital cost. The climate of Pondicherry, for those of you who haven't visited it yet, is 3 climates: hot, hotter, and hottest. And for me as an architect, the challenge is how to create comfort conditions which requires for this particular building less than 20% air conditioning of a similar building in the same geography. So to start with, Neyveli power plant was only 80 kilometers south of Pondicherry. So we just bought all the fly ash from Neyveli power plant and we made our fly ash bricks on site, which were 3x in terms of the thermal resistance of the country-fired brick. And just by introducing a cavity in the middle, I was able to raise the R value of the wall by 5x to an R10, which means my 9-inch wall with fly ash bricks with a cavity in the middle was equal in thermal performance to 9 into 5, a 45-inch, almost a 4 feet thick country-fired brick wall. So the amount of time the heat takes to travel through 45 inches 4 feet of a red brick wall is the same amount of time. So you can imagine, just by changing material and changing design, that is the kind of benefit we are able to give. Needless to say, in terms of the operational cost, over a 40-year lifespan, if that building built with red brick would have cost 2 crores only in terms of electricity bill, this building, and we have projected it based on the last 1.5 years performance, is going to cost them only 10 lakhs over a span of 40 years. It was 20% cheaper both in terms of masonry as well in terms of steel, just because of design, what Samir was saying. In terms of its impact on people, I believe there are 5 ways, solid ways in which buildings impact people. I haven't covered acoustics in here, but aesthetics, visual comfort, thermal comfort, and indoor air quality. Aesthetics, I think, is an absolute necessity, but people count it as luxury. Visual comfort, by designing the entire building for daylight. No need of artificial lights during the day. In terms of thermal comfort, and this is, I think, one of the most energy guzzling area of our buildings, where we as architects and developers, our only job, I mean, each dot on this represents an hour, and out of the 8,760 hours of the year, you can see the comfort zone of Pondicherry or Chennai. Our job as architects is to literally pick one dot after the other and start putting it inside this blue box. How do we do that? Through passive design. And more than 12 different passive design strategies have been used here. In the last 1.5 years, for all the more than 5,000 people who have visited this building after it received the award for being India's first house of tomorrow, it has been named as the Hawa Mahal of Pondicherry, because it's always full of breeze and there's never even need of fans, let alone air conditioning. When the sun is rising in the east, there's land breezes flowing from the west. When the sun is setting in the west, the sea breeze is flowing from the east. So the entire building is oriented with catchers of breeze. Oxygen rich. And in terms of net zero water waste, energy and carbon, as I said, this building has reduced 40% in terms of its carbon emission, which in actual terms amounts to 102 tons, which is equal to the impact of the 40 acres of forest of Auroville around it. So just a 7,000 square feet building, just with a few right decisions from our side as architects or developers, can create the impact of saving the annual work of 40 acres of forest land. As far as your eye can see, that is the impact of this one building built with the right decisions, which is also equal to a car which runs for 20 kilometers a day for 200 years. That is the impact of this one building. And 80% of which is from steel and masonry alone. So the House of Tomorrow Award, the 5-star Griha Award, the Exemplary Performance Award, the international, it was gaining that recognition. And for the same developer, we were also designing apartments and how they were combining heritage with green. So that was another take on how to make it sellable in the middle of so much crowd. At the end of this, what is the purpose behind doing all of this? I think this was covered in the morning as well. So I'm not going to repeat the slide. Why this is important? This is important. Why we do it this way? We are not reinventing the wheel. We already have all the pieces of the puzzle which we need to put together. Why us? And I'm going to take a leaf from Sriram's beautiful TEDx talk, where he asked this very, very important question, that all of us who are part of the startup world have been hearing about unicorns. Can the people in this room become a climate unicorn? Thank you for that, Sriram. Can we together mitigate 1 billion tons of CO2? And that is the main question. And to draw a line from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And every person in this room is highly empowered. So can we as CREDAI become a role model for future-ready buildings? Why now? This is, of course, a report in 2012, which said that 70% of India is yet to be built. So if we just shift the needle by 2 degrees, imagine the trajectory of where we will reach in the next 10 years. So why now? What's in it for us? So all those of you who have read the Blue Ocean Strategy, you know it very well. And for those of you who haven't read the Blue Ocean Strategy, I'm so sorry about this. I don't know how that happened. But a red ocean is the catering to the existing demand, and a blue ocean is meeting an unmet need or an unarticulated need or creating an uncontested market. A red ocean focuses on the standard of life, whereas a blue ocean, which in our case would be a responsible construction, focuses on quality of life, competition versus collaboration, and profit versus impact. So what's in it for us? To become a differentiated brand and to swim in the blue ocean. Thank you.